Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Doing It Scared. Oh, I fixed my necklace. So I have a fun activity, or should I say painting to do. I was just kind of messing around last week. So what we're going to do today is, this is a rough one, but we are going to make something similar to this. So if you can see, this is a textured heart that has been put onto a canvas. I put a base of tissue paper. So we're gonna do this, and we're actually gonna be painting this while it's wet, kind of like fresco painting. So let's go ahead and let me show you what we have. So I've got 4 pieces of just light blue tissue paper. I have a stencil. We're gonna be doing a fleur-de-lis today. I have a 4x4 or 6x6. This is 6x6 canvas. You can see, if you look in it, I've already painted over it. I had done a painting on this and I didn't like it. So I covered it with just a light cream color. Okay, so that will obviously not stay that color. So colors I'm gonna be using today: primary blue. I've got a little bit of this deep ochre. I have Tuscan red. This is my favorite red. This is crimson red. This is very similar. It just has much more of a berry feel, and this paint's a little bit more transparent than the Tuscan red. One of my favorite colors, you guys are probably getting sick of it, the deep midnight blue. And then, excuse me, I have some fun dioxazine purple. Okay. And so with that, let's get started. I know the holidays are right around the corner. So this is not necessarily a holiday painting, but it is something that I think is fun to do. And you could do the same thing if you were wanting to do like a picture of like an ornament in that 3D. Oh, and I forgot, I have our spackle. So this is what we're going to use to get that kind of elevated look of that spackle. So the first thing that I have to do, let me get a drink real quick. I can't believe I'm losing my voice. So by the way, guys, if I'm a little crazy today, well, I'm crazy every day, so we know. But we put our house on the market on Wednesday, had an open house on Saturday, and got an offer that night. So we are kind of crazy around here. We're closing December 5th. I don't think I'm going to miss any of my Doing It Scareds that are scheduled, but just be prepared that it could happen. We will be closing on our new place on December 17th. So I will be at an Airbnb between the December 5th and 17th. That might mess up the Doing It Scared schedule. Let me get a quick drink. All right, thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and turn around the camera and take a look at our creating space. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me double check it. Okay, so this is our 4-inch square. We're gonna start with some paint and tissue paper, and this is gonna look pretty messy when I do it, but this is exactly, it's just super easy. So we don't need this base coat to be super precise or anything. So I'm just putting some true blue right there on the canvas. This time I do have what we call a chip brush. Okay, these brushes, I get like 20 of them for like $5. Typically, I will wash them out, but if I forget, I don't care because they're just very cheap, so I just throw it away. So we're gonna start by getting the blue paint around the top. Y'all know I love blues and reds, so of course that's what I'm working with. You can do this in any color. This would be great with some pinks and creams, gold, corals for a more fun effect. So I've always loved the fleur-de-lis. And by the way, I'm gonna crumple up this paper just like that. and then I'm going to apply it because I want a little extra texture. You don't have to do that, but it does help with the texture. So I'm going to smooth that in there. You can see how it's going in. So the fleur-de-lis, I've always loved it. It's a sign of the Trinity, also of the French monarchy or royalty. So it's always been a favorite of mine. And so when I found that stencil, I grabbed it because I'm not all that great at creating my own stencils. Okay. Gonna add some paint right here. You don't have to rip any of this off, okay? Just getting this, the paint is what's gonna hold it. And then I'm going to do a few brushes along the sides and get the tissue paper, again, down in that. Whatever's excess after it dries will be trimmed off. Not to mention the sides, like I said, we'll be coming back to those. Probably, I don't know if we'll get them on there, but you'll see the finished product. I always do the sides. It's going to be very simple. I, however, am not worrying about making sure I have even tissue paper along there because it's just part of the feel of everything. And let's get some there. And as I add layers of paint, it will all go ahead and get taken care of. So, all right, so let me show you the sides real good. Again, this is gonna get, we're gonna be painting the outside and it will get in there a little bit more. Notice how the tissue crinkles. I like that effect. So just simple, little, you know, quick base coat, so to speak. I'm going to go ahead and just smush these in there. I'm not going to put any more paint on this at the time, okay? Because what I need to do next is I'm going to look at my tissue paper tore there, so I don't want too much of that going on. I have two more slight pieces. I'm going to, because it stands out to me, so I'm going to just put this piece right here. And again, as we add more paint, this will blend in, but I was just brushing a little too aggressively. All right, so the next thing we have to do, I'm gonna kind of make sure, it doesn't have to be completely dry, but most of it is because the tissue paper absorbs that. So I'm going to place my stencil, as you can see, right over the top of the canvas. Now, what I'm gonna be doing now is I'm gonna be taking this spackle paint, spackle repair drywall with a palette knife, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the stencil. This may take a couple of swipes. I may even have to take it off and do it again, but it's a lot of fun. So we're just going to smear. It's kind of like baking, what do you call it? Not baking. Oh, frosting a cake. That's kind of the consistency, is a thicker, you know, frosting. Notice it's picking up some of that blue paint. I'm totally okay with that. Getting all the areas covered. And then now what I'm doing is I'm going to go through and smooth. This looks like it needs some more. Now, this does not create a huge effect as far as like sticking way out, but it does give some fun feel. Now, notice I have all this extra. I don't want to put it back in here because now it's got the blue paint in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape off the excess on my palette, just a regular paper plate. And I'm going to smooth one drag at a time. You'll start to see that fleur-de-lis appear as I go by. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. You've been around long enough to know that I don't do anything perfect. I just don't have the patience for perfection. Maybe some of you do. I'm getting close. I don't mind a little extra texture going in there. Just wanting to get it smooth. Now, typically this drywall paste, spackle, whatever we honestly want to call it, dries in like an hour, dry to the touch maybe in 30 minutes, but full in an hour. So you can do this and put this on and then take it off and let the spackling dry all the way. But we are going to do a wet paint within there because I'm lazy and I don't want to wait. So let's go ahead and carefully pull the stencil up, and hopefully guys, this worked fine. We don't have to do it again. It took me a couple of tries on the heart, very slowly. So there we go. Okay, that is pretty good. I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of these extras that are here, I'm going to pull these back just very slightly. You can see some peaks here. I'm actually going to use my finger. I don't mind some of those peaks. I know that it would likely rub off. So this arch right here isn't as clean as the other one. And again, like I said, I'm okay with that. It's because we have this extra tissue here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of my dotting tools. And I am just going to define this a little bit cleaner. So I don't have to redo the whole thing. And there we go. Okay. All right. So one of the things I normally do when I'm painting is I usually do the background first and then this in the inside. Well, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful about how I do that. Sorry, getting the lid on this. So I will be going back and forth between the background and then the elevated portions, okay? And you can see my palette. I've got all this extra spackle there. I don't care. I'm going to be putting some paint on the palette. I'm going to start with the primary blue so I can go ahead and get some of this extra tissue paper down. And I'm just tapping slightly because I don't want to hit the fleur-de-lis that we just created there. And let's see, I'm going to clean this up right here a little bit. Okay. So I'm just kind of bouncing the brush where that is. I may do some gold or silver in this. I am going to do gold. I do see, where's my champagne gold? Where's my champagne gold? Oh, it must be in another thing. So maybe we'll be doing silver. So anyway, I don't want to get up and go look for it. I don't know what I did with it. It's usually right here. But again, this is supposed to be like French royalty. And of course, it is used all the time in decor now as well for your home decor. All right, so this one I'm going to be using off and on. I'm going to go ahead and let's move this out of the way. As you know, I always have a rag to wipe off the excess. I am going to take just a little bit of black paint because we always have to use white and black typically. I don't know if we'll get any white, but we'll see. So I want to add some darkness to the corners. And you guys let me know that I like that. So So I'm just dabbing some of this black paint right here in the corners. And this is going to be, again, somewhat important, because if you want, if you don't want to mess the tissue and tear the tissue, then you're going to have to do more of a dab than a like swipe paint. If you want to do, if you don't want to have the dabbing, then again, you just wait for the plaster of Paris to dry. And again, with the tissue paper, and then you'll go back in with your paints after it's dry, and you won't have to worry about any of that, what do you call it? Falling apart or, you know, tearing. So now I'm going to go back in my corners with a little bit of this bright blue. Again, with the tapping motion. What I'm doing is I'm wanting to blend out that darker color of the black in with the blue, giving a variety of shades. I know I keep saying it every time, but if you're around and you're watching this, just give me in the discussion in the chat, just kind of give me a, hey, Lori, hi. I'm always open. I would like to start seeing what you guys think. If you make one of these projects, it'd be great if you could share. Everybody is inspired when everybody starts their creative process. Okay. And I'm going to continue. I'm not worried about completely covering this lighter blue from the tissue. I want these different colors in there. Okay, let's do just a little bit more. Notice I'm not doing a whole lot around where we just made our imprint. All right, so I think I'm pretty much done with this for right now, so it's going to go in my water. And now we're going to start working on the actual floor delete. Okay, now I could just go ahead and paint this one color, but y'all know me, I don't always do that. Okay, I'm going to be doing, well, we'll just see. My goal is to kind of do some ready blurred side kind together. So I'm going to take a little bit of this deep ochre and my Tuscan red. You're just going to go for the bold right now on this. So I'm going to use my medium brush. Now the point with this is you're going to have to dip in the paint and then you're going to put it on the plaster of Paris, but you're not going to press. If you press, you will create indentation. So if I wanted to add like some more detail, I could use this brush, or I'm sorry, this point, and I could make little rivets. In fact, let's just do a few. And it's not even, it's not going to show up too much because it needs to dry a little bit and set. So never mind. Let's start. I'm going to start with some of this ecru color, and I'm going to start in the bottom, in the corners, wherever we have corners coming together. And I'm tapping my colors in. I am not dragging anything. And yes, this plaster of Paris or spackle is currently wet. I practiced this with another the painting with it wet, and it's just different technique, but I did really, really enjoy my time doing that. Now, I want to point out, if you see right here, I went over my fleur-de-lis and got into the blue. So what I'm going to do, wipe my brush, pick up a little bit of this blue, and I'm going to go ahead and just tap on top. There we go. Okay, easy peasy. I'm going to put a little bit on the points. So this is kind of like fresco painting, what they did during the Renaissance, and that would be, they would be painting on wet plaster. So we're just kind of mimicking that. I don't know if you see over here, I didn't get a great point with the plaster of Paris, but that does not mean I need to go back in and put more on there. I'm just going to let the colors make it. So I'm going to push this back in a little. There we go. Just a little bit. Okay, let's see. Next, I'm trying to think. I do want to put a little, I'm going to put a little of the ecru here. And I didn't do this tip. And let's kind of just, I'm going to kind of just tap in some along this. Another fun thing you could do is you could do the canvas first in gold leaf and then put this on top, and you'd have a beautiful golden fleur-de-lis. Let's go ahead and clean up some of this. So that is the great thing, that this doesn't dry super fast. So if you need to clean up some of that work, you can just gently push it around. Okay. And then where it's not perfect, I just use my color to fill in, and the eye will think it's just perfect. Okay. So the next color I'm going to use, I wiped my brush off. I'm going to pick up some of this red. Okay, so this is this Tuscan red, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to dab right into the ecru. And I'm going to be blending back and forth between ecru and red. So we'll just keep going. I did a fleur-de-lis long time ago, and I did a lot of funky colors in it. It was really fun, and I haven't found it since we moved into this place, but guess what? I still have boxes that need to be unpacked, which are just going to stay packed. I'm sure I will find it with the next move, or I will lament because, of course, it was lost in the move. That's okay. Okay, I'm just doing the inside right now. I will blend the rest out in a minute. Again, I want to just, we're just doing some tapping motion and see how that's starting to blend together. That's what I want. I want it to be a soft transition, more like an ombre kind of, into this red. It's not really blending as well. Let's take a little red. So I'm going to be going back and forth. Again, I can't put a lot of pressure here, because if I do, I will change the shape. I'm going to just use the side of my brush, just do some tapping. Good. Getting that soft blend in there. Kind of like getting it to melt into the red. All right, so I'm gonna fill in the rest of the fleur-de-lis with the red. I'm going to just build up from the bottom. Again, a lot of tapping going on. Very gentle. Now, a lot of this paint is going to dry before I get over here. So that's why I went ahead first and did the blending, because this will be a little bit of a time-consuming practice. I have where it's not so thick there. It's okay, I'm gonna leave it because I like the texture. Oops, got a little on blue, that's okay. We'll get that covered up. So far, I don't know if you notice, none of this material is coming up on my brush. It's because I'm not digging into it. I'm going very slowly with some tapping motions. Okay, now that I'm back up at the top of this, I'm again going to do some tapping with the ecru on the red, just kind of trying to get that faded blend. There we go. All right, let's move to the left one. See, and we are 30 minutes in already, so I have a feeling that this will be like most of my others, and we will not get this finished. One thing I'm going to tell you is when I get all done, I'm going to go through and detail all of these little sides, but I'm not going to worry about that at this point. That's going to be one of the last things I'm going to do. You can also see there's piers of white sticking in and out, however you want to put it. And I will be, again, layering more colors. So I love how this yellow ochre, I keep calling it, ecru. Yeah, ochre. I don't know what it is. Anyway, this burnt yellow, so to speak, is blending with this red, and the opposite of it, letting it just really helps bring some life to the fleur-de-lis rather than being just one solid color. Of course, if you want it one solid color, that is absolutely fine. Okay. There we go. And now off to this one. Can y'all believe that this is the last week in October? We're already going to be into November, which means Christmas is right around the corner, as well as Thanksgiving. to the bottom part. This doesn't need a whole lot on this one, but I'm still going to do some blending there. Getting close to needing to do the next color. Okay. You see right here, there is basically a hole in the spackle. At this point, I'm going to fill it with a different color to give it some contrast. So I'm just doing my tapping motion right over the top. If you want it that solid color or the same, you just will have to very gently use the tip of your brush and go in and put the paint in there. I like the different textures that this gives, and so that I'm going to leave it there. All right, a little more yellow. Okay, looking good. Woo, woo. All right, so now I think I'm gonna do some of the purple. And let's see, this is the problem when I don't plan anything out. Well, first of all, I'm going to add some purple to this bar here. And I should have added a little bit of red, so we're going to go back with red. Purple, of course, is also considered the color of royalty. Okay, a little bit of purple in there. Now, decisions. All right, so I think I'm going to just go around the edges. Let's see what happens here. Kind of like, you know how I like to outline everything. That's kind of like what I'm doing, but I'm just tapping some of this purple, and you can see I'm not doing anything super heavy. This is just going to help give that blend again. Okay. Again, just doing some tapping. You can see very lightly how that purple is getting added in there without being really strong by any means. So believe it or not, this takes a little patience, and y'all know I struggle with patience, but that's okay. That's why I can't do fine art. I don't have the attention span. I don't like to come back the next day and work on something I've started. I want to get it all done in one time. I'm really liking how these colors are blending. Okay, so I did just a little bit in the yellow. I don't want it to be like ombre there. This is like accent colors just to give some depth. And you can see where I went off a little bit, got a little in the center. That's okay. That's part of the fun of this. I'm going to put a little texture there. There we go. All right, now let's do the side points. Again, I'm focusing on just the edges. Again, just kind of tapping the color in there. I'm going to let it be darker in some areas and lighter in others. Using just small bits of paint at a time. Look at how soft that you have to do this, or you're gonna lose that edge. So you have to really, it does take some patience. You're not always going to get the colors to blend easily, or even have this, I'm going to just call it plaster, absorb paint quickly. I'm okay with it being a little thicker around the corner. Makes sense. Looking good. I keep looking back on my screen because I can see what I'm doing and I can see how it's looking good to me. Yes, it takes patience. I can handle patience for short amounts of time. And just light tapping motions. Help blend it in. Can still see some white plaster. I'm absolutely fine with that. I feel like I need just something to add. Yeah, a little more color. If you see that this is getting smushed, you can do just like I'm doing, using the tip of your brush and pushing that wall back in there. Because even with the lightest of tapping, it will flatten it a little bit. There we go. All right, let's move down to the bottom area. Again, my focus is the outline area. This would probably be easier to paint. You know, if I did this like the night before, the plaster, and then painted once it was dry because it wouldn't move, but you don't get the same, the effects look a little bit different. So it's always fun trying new things. And so those of you that have frosted cakes, that's really kind of what the plaster feels like. Okay. Let's move to the center. I'm just depositing this color right now, and I'm going to go back and blend it. I want to make sure I get it there. When all is said and done and I'm done with the painting process, I'm going to make sure that I let this dry for a couple of days before trying to put it up or anything like that. So you see I've got purple all the way around this. Now I want to do some blending. I've wiped off my brush on the cloth, and I'm just going to go in and tap the inside areas with the side of my brush. Just to get the edge there, some of that color all together. Okay, I am going to, with my purple, I'm going to just dot a little in this hole, adding some of that depth. 15 minutes. Okay, so I am going to finish this part, and then I guess I will go ahead and kind of give you the idea. Well, I don't know how I'm really going to finish it, but some of the steps that I'm going to do. And of course, when I get it completely finished, I will put a photo in the discussion. By the way, I do have a YouTube channel which you can access. I do have all of these Doing It Scared are there, as well as I do have some full tutorials that are available. And then, of course, if you are interested in a paint kit or whatever, and you purchase a paint kit, you will get the link for that painting as well. So www.passport-creative.com. Okay, looking good. So now I'm going to use this other deeper red, the crimson. And I'm going to pretty much do the whole thing. So now you can see I'm putting on another layer of color. This is adding depth, and it's also adding and helping to blend colors. So I like doing this at the end because I can do the whole thing. And then as you can see, even if the purples and such are already dried, it just balances out everything. Makes it more soft, not as harsh looking. I could also wait for all of this to dry and do a wash with this. Maybe add a little water, thin it out, but I don't want to do that. I'm liking how this is coming together. Okay, this, I do need to push some of this back. There we go. All right, same process to the left. I'm going to just call it a wing. The left curl, wing, whatever. Again, it's not making like anything a huge difference. It's just kind of bringing everything together. I'm going to move to the right one. Tapping right over that purple. This is what's gonna, it gives it that shading when I'm using this deeper red. Kind of blends and everything kind of just takes into its own shape. Those contrasts and corners. All right, now we're gonna do the center. I'm going to work on this center part in a minute because I do feel like it needs to be cleaned up. And of course, this is all still a little wet, so it can make some slight movements. If you notice, I'm concentrating on the center. I am going along the sides a little bit, but I'm not super concerned with that. Loving how this is coming together. And you can see on the background where it's starting to dry with those the lighter color of the tissue paper coming through. It's giving me just the effect that I wanted, so I'm super happy. Okay, let's clean this up a little. There's better. Making sure the edges are looking good. Okay. Oh, I'm going to use a little bit of the primary blue. And you can tell here, like this is just going to go around the base. Just to get rid of this harsh white and to have it blend easier into the background. So I just did a little bit. I'm going to go in just some different areas. I'm not doing much at all. Excuse me. Now, this is going to have a matte finish. If you're one of those people that like shiny, then after it, so either way, I will be sealing this in a day or two. I will be using a semi-gloss Mod Podge glue sealer. If you like the matte, you can get a matte finish, or if you like a high gloss, you can also find the high gloss finish. I'm one of those people, I just really use whatever I find within arm's reach. Now that's what I happen to have. Again, I'm just getting some of these white spots. I want them to just blend. Notice I got some yellow here. I'm off the side. I'm just tapping in some of that primary blue. And I am moving it around to make sure I can see all the different angles. So I'm going to continue doing this. We will have a finished product ready for you. It'll probably take me another 45 minutes to get this where I want, and we'll have the finished piece available to you guys. Give me 1 minute and I'm going to do this side. I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to say goodbye for the day. I hope you guys have fun weekend plans for the Halloween holiday. I hope you get lots and lots of candy. So, and you know, if you're grown like me and you don't, you just go ahead and buy some candy for yourself. If you're parents, of course, we all know that what's going to happen is you're going to get back from trick-or-treating, you're going to put the kids to bed, and while they are sleeping, you're going to go in and see what little bits of their stash that you can take for yourself that they will not notice. I personally, when my kids were young and we'd come back with all that candy, I would keep it in a cupboard, and so I could control how much they were eating every day. So it was kind of fun. I'd be able to pull out their little bag and give them a choice. They could pick out, however many pieces I said, and then it would go back up until the next time. Because like myself, with any kid, it's hard to stop once you start tasting all that delicious chocolate. I'm all about the chocolate. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. Thank you guys so much. Come back and see the finished product. And I look forward to creating again with you soon next week on Doing It Scared. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.